So almost exactly a year ago, I walked out my front door just like I did there to pick up my freshly delivered Sprinter van. All right, guys, it's finally happening. My Sprinter van just showed up here. Matt, that's me. Yeah, we'll do that. Except then, I didn't even have a name for my van. She was a complete mess, filled with sawdust, filled with plywood, cabinets, just a total disaster. So the van was like a work van, basically, so it has all of these cabinets in there. And now, she's the Luna that everyone's come to know, and I'm gonna say, love. I'm still not over just how sick these luminous boxes are, but I wanted to show you guys. I spent all weekend sort of getting one of these boxes just about loaded up. A whole case of oil in there, some diesel exhaust fluid, some bungees, just some miscellaneous tools, zip ties, cutters, a whole electrical bin, extension cord, rope, tie downs, cleaning supplies, and it just all seems to fit almost too well. So I picked up some bins from like Home Depot and Walmart. I got a tarp in here even, and some gloves for like handling firewood. Oh, and I even got an extension for my WeBoost antenna, so now I can really get this nice up and high to get the best service. I really spent some time this weekend to go through, figure out what I need, what I want back here, and how this will help us in the van. So still got plenty of space in this one. And almost a completely empty one in here. This is really just for my own nostalgia and looking back, but if you've been on the channel for a while, first off, thank you. You were with us when we literally would make episode after episode of like our successes, our failures, just documenting the whole thing that went on with Luna. I spent the very first weekend basically just stripping everything out, cleaning, mopping, vacuuming, just getting Luna down to a blank shell where I was then able to even think about putting the very first piece of lumber in her. I made a whole video called How I Built My Van, which kind of outlines the steps I took to actually build my van, but you can honestly watch every single episode to kind of see what I went through, the process, all that, so I don't really need to get into that too much. But the moral of the story is I ended up spending about 6 months building out Luna into what she is now. I think the reason why it took me so long to build out the van was, one, that I had no idea what I was doing, but two, I was also working full-time 40 hours a week, which only left me basically the weekends and then before work and after work to actually do stuff on the van. I had basically spent from May to Labor Day weekend straight building the van. I never took like a weekend off. I was working on the van every day after work, before work, and Labor Day weekend was basically the point I said, you know what, I've kind of had enough. I need to just have fun and experience the van and just get out and do something before I lose the entire summer. And so Labor Day weekend, I actually met up with my sister who lives up in Jackson Hole, and I took the van before she was completely finished. I had the bed in the back, no power or anything, like no kitchen. I just went out and hung out in the Tetons, and that was like my first real taste of any sort of adventure with Luna, and it felt so good. Labor Day weekend is always kind of bittersweet because it's a nice holiday weekend, but it also really signifies the end of summer. So once I got back from Labor Day, I was like, okay, somehow the entire summer has went by, and I know it's gonna start snowing before I know it. So basically it was crunch time. I knew I had probably about 4 to 6, maybe 8 weeks to really finish the van before it just gets bitter cold up here and starts snowing. And that was when I essentially cranked out the kitchen, which I think the kitchen is one of my most proud things about the van, only because it is so functional and it's just given me an opportunity to cook like wholehearted meals all throughout the day and not have to worry about anything. Luckily, I think we ended up finishing right around, I think it was like the weekend before Halloween, like the end of October, right where it starts, the days are like really short and it just starts to get like cold, the air smells different, that whole deal. So while the van wasn't like completely 100% complete, it was still like 95%. Enough to be like, okay, we made it, let's dig in for the winter and figure out what we need to do after that. Because there's always like this in-between phase of like end of summer and before the ski season starts, I wanted to go on like one big trip with Luna before all of that stuff happened. So I went with 2 of my other sisters. I did like this huge 1,100 mile Arizona road trip where we went to Sedona, Horseshoe Bend, the Grand Canyon, but we just kind of ventured around the Southwest in Luna. We had 3 people in here. My sisters would sleep on the bed and I would sleep on the floor. I'm just like on a pillows. The very first trip that I ever went on with Luna. And I remember like the morning we woke up in the Grand Canyon, it was like 11 degrees outside. We had thought like everything was gonna be warm and we're going down south in the desert, but like it really couldn't be further from the truth. Once it started getting like below freezing up here in the mountains is when I first started noticing some issues or some troubles with the van, which I kind of should have predicted that something would have happened with the weather, and that was basically my whole battery situation. So right before Christmas, because we had no snow up here, I drove down to the Utah desert again, thinking that it was going to be warm, thinking that, oh, hey, I'll warm the batteries up by going into the desert. And I went to the Factory Butte, which was an amazing trip, and it was just super beautiful, very awesome weekend with the van, but it was still like 10 degrees overnight down there, so it was really no different than it was up here. And so that kind of like led me to have to think of a solution to fix these batteries before the ski season really came. And in a way, it was kind of a blessing that we didn't get a really crazy early winter, because I really wouldn't have been prepared with the van. So basically from like Christmas time to about after New Year's was when I kind of went back into the van and figured out how I could fix the batteries for Luna. Another thing I did over the weekend was I basically restored all of the trim around the van. You probably can't tell, but it was so faded just from being like, 7, 8 years old, that I took this Meguiar's Ultimate Black like trim restorer, and I just went around and I just touched up all of the trim pieces, the handles, all of these things are on the bottom, and it just makes Luna look so much better with all the new aluminous pieces and the tires and the wheels. Having this black be like a nice thick black, it really looks way better than I thought. Makes a huge difference. So that's just another side note. I might add another coat because it says kind of 2 or 3 or 4 coats could be needed for maximum effect. So I just kind of spurge this on a towel and then kind of rub it on the trim piece. So I'm only gonna do 1 trim piece to see if it makes a difference, see if I can tell between this one and this one. But anyways, just thought I'd share that with you guys. Once I fixed the battery temperature problem, I really felt like Luna was essentially just like invincible when it came to the winter conditions. I had heat, I had insulation, I had good tires. There's really nothing that I felt like Luna couldn't take. And so that's basically when all of this ski stuff started, was the Jackson Hole video at the beginning of January. Other than Jackson, we went to Grand Targhee, we went to Sun Valley, Snow Basin, Powder Mountain, Park City, Deer Valley. We went down south to Bryan Head, Eagle Point. Like we basically went all over Utah, Wyoming, and even into Idaho, all with Luna, our self-converted Sprinter van. Now here we are, May 2021. Luna has completely just like surpassed all of my expectations. Most recently, we've been to California, we've been down to the desert. We got all of these aluminous rear bumper, the boxes installed. I got a front light bar in there. So the van essentially, I just would have never thought she would look like this if you talked to me a year ago. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I guess we'll give a really small van tour, a 1-year anniversary, so I can do this again next year and we can see what changes. But this is my 60 square feet of just coziness. Obviously you walk in, there's the kitchen, 2-burner stove. I think it's like a 55 or 60 liter fridge with a freezer in it, which is just awesome. Little drawer here for utensils. This is all my under sink stuff, which isn't totally put together right now because it's still cold, but this is where my water tanks go, water pump, all that stuff, trash. And then in here is where I keep most of my pots and pans for immediate cooking. This overhead shelf is just so clutch for just putting like anything you need, coats, towels, paper towels, more pots and pans, Tupperware. This is a huge addition that I don't think I could live without. Kitchen cabinets, little like coffee shelf, bookshelf area with an outlet back there. This is a really cool feature of the van. This is like it's like a seat, but it also acts as a storage compartment and like perfect height outside for like a table. So I call it like a 3-in-1, and it just adds so much dimension to the van by stepping it down. This kind of covers the whole wheel well. That's all my electrical in there, which was really fun to do actually. And then just kind of like extra storage, dry food, Febreze, and then even more storage in the back there. Then I built all these shelves to just kind of match the rest of the van look. So this is kind of to hold my phone when it's charging, GoPros. This is actually a laptop sleeve, which works really well. Battery monitor, heater, more outlets, stuff like that. Table made out of 5 oak strips, completely handmade, folds down. Rear cabinets, then kind of like just like main area. This is like the bed, but it's also the couch, also like the dining room. This is just kind of houses it all. So all my switches are here. Turn the garage light on, pull this back, and you got yourself a full garage for storage. That's where the skis go. And I put everything on a switch just so I had the ability to control it all. Outdoor light, inside lights, fridge, water pump, my cell booster, and then just some outlets here, my inverter so I can get like normal power. There's obviously a lot more to the van, a lot more sort of complexities, but she is totally off-grid, meaning that she is completely self-sustainable between the solar and just how everything works. Like everything you need to live in this van full-time year-round is here. So this is like literally your own rolling house on wheels. And again, I'm so stoked that it's been a year later, and I just feel so refreshed, and I feel like we haven't even started the adventures really with Luna. We will just keep adventuring, we'll keep exploring, and I'm sure we'll just keep growing with Luna and I. So that was it. I just felt like I had to make a 1-year anniversary video with Luna because it's just a really special thing. Not only just with me, but also obviously the channel is like built a lot around the van and the adventures with Luna, and yeah, she really means a lot to me. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know like your favorite memory of Luna or something, or just your favorite part about Luna. But I'll see all of you guys in the next episode. Take it easy, fam. Thanks again. Peace out.